Hi everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Vibe series for the upcoming Vitality Festival, which is starting on October the 31st and runs for 9 days. We've got an incredible lineup of world-class leading speakers, and one of those speakers is here with us today. David Norris, welcome, and how are you?
Tanya, it is my absolute pleasure. And 9 days, you guys are doing an outstanding effort to collaborate and herd sometimes people who operate like cats. So thank you very much for inviting me to join you guys on this journey.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And David, why don't you start today by telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got to be where you are now?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm a senior occupational therapist. I've been doing this for about 20 years. And most people scratch their head and go, what's an OT, occupational therapist, all about? In short, I wanted to see people performing at their best, no matter where they're at in life. And one of the things that's fascinated me for so long is the journey of cognitive fitness, our brain health over our lifespan. And sadly, I get to work with folk that are quite often pronounced, really significant changes to their cognitive fitness. And it was about 8 years ago, I said, look, we've got to do something different here. When we face conditions like dementia or significant changes to our cognitive fitness, be it from a stroke or anything like that, I said, we've got to get in front of this stuff, because accepting this scenario as an event and it's going to happen is not good enough. And so I decided to do something about it. And I started teaching a small community of people who were interested to hear an OT go on and talk about what they could do to improve and boost their brain fitness for life. Now, I didn't think anyone would be interested, to be honest, Tanya, but I had 50 people turn up. But not only that, I had it booked out, 4 or 5 times over. It was that sort of interest that people had about what they could do to take control of their cognitive fitness for life. 8 years on, now I am doing things of a grander scale, but still with that really committed vision to stop avoidable memory loss. And I think right now is quite timely to have this conversation, given all the things that have happened to us in this experience post-COVID fallout, that it is an opportunity to raise this to our awareness, but also such a beautiful opportunity to do something about it.
And it'd be interesting. I mean, I know that people have been really affected by what's going on with the COVID situation. I mean, we're in Victoria here, so particularly us with our, not being able to go very far. And I know that a lot of people are finding that they're being challenged in terms of brain health. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think of it like a gorgeous apple pie. Our wellness could be thought about as a beautiful piece of pie. And those things that go into the recipe and the ingredients of making us well are all the things associated with exercise, being able to connect with loved ones and sustain nurturing, beautiful, loving relationships with others, eating nutritiously yummy, dense, vitality boosting food, having enough stimulation that keeps us pushing our envelope in our minds around, things that are new, novel and exciting, through to, how are we sleeping, our mental health. All these factors go into the sort of bucket of ingredients to create this unique picture of us and our wellness. And when we look at the COVID experience of lockdown, our restrictions, changes in the way we interact with each other, changes in the way that we connect, means that a lot of those routines and rituals that we've built around our personal wellness strategy, our self-care strategy, has been ripped apart. And that has left a legacy of increasing in our mental health experiences, anxiety, depression, through to, I've got brain fog. I'm not as feeling as sharp. My memory is really struggling. What should I do? And it's with that sort of subjective, I feel it type of experience that is our canary in the coal mine, that we should do something about it. And it's fairly clear that when we look behind us about the trail of change that's happened in our lives with COVID, it's taken and ripped out fundamental factors which are important for us to sustain our cognitive health, our cognitive fitness.
There are so many people that are being challenged with that at the moment, like exactly what you said, all these inability to connect, inability to have new experiences, which is what people are really used to. What would you say to people who are really sort of stuck at home or feeling like, this brain fog is setting in, just like you spoke about? What could people some little things that people could just quickly change that might help that?
Well, look, one really easy way or really easy starting point is to look at what we're eating. And if we were, putting that magnifying glass back to ourselves or even just holding up the mirror to reflect back what we're doing with our eating routine, our new food that we're introducing to our bodies, it is one simple tool, one simple opportunity to make a change. It may be about cutting things out, not so much adding things in. It can be also about restricting the time of which we eat. So just a little bit of time restricted feeding can translate to increased energy. And that's one of the big things that folk feel at the moment is struggling with energy, which is then connected with a lot of clarity, that I'm not feeling as clear or as sharp. So this is one way that by not doing anything, by cutting some of the highly processed foods, comfort eating, which we go to when we're, commonly experiencing stress, and that's okay, but it's the compounding things of comfort eating a lot and frequently. So avoiding, reducing, or even paring back some times of which we are actually eating. So making a choice about trying to fast from, say, our last meal is at 8 o'clock at night. Well, we're not going to eat from 8 till 10 the next day. So looking at 12 to 14 hour fast overnight. That in itself will translate to improved energy. So simple, but it's something that people can start with right now. I guess that's what I will be covering in my conversation with you, Tanya, and the folk that are really keen to explore this with me. It's not so much about what's the tactics, what are the little things I can do for myself. It's coming up with a personalized strategy, a personalized view about what is the best thing for me, because your lifestyle strategies, your things that are important for you are going to be totally different to somebody next to you. And it's having that clear picture about where you stand, and then coming up with some prioritized actions that are going to have tangible impacts to your cognitive fitness, to your life. Because what this translates to, not just thinking clear, but being able to do things more effectively in your life as well.
I love that. And I think it's really important for people to remember that a lot of these things, it is really individual. Everybody has a different way that they respond to food and to exercise and everything that's going on. So I think that's a really, really valid point. So, David, tell us, your talk is about how to sharpen your mind and prevent memory loss. So tell everybody a little bit about what you'll be covering in your workshop at the Vitality Festival.
Yeah, sure. I think it comes down to three things, Tanya. First is understand where you are at. Now, yes, we can probably say, hey, COVID is just wreaking havoc with my life and I can blame COVID. But how do we take control of it? That's probably the most important thing here, is about how we start to take control of the situation. So I want you to check where you're at. And then it's coming up with a plan to change it. So that's our next step, which is coming back to where am I at right now? What are the things that I can change? And then put in an action plan over the next 30 days. So this is 1, 2, and 3 of what people are going to get from coming into a conversation with me. It's going to be me talking a little bit, but then putting it back on the audience to go, how are you going to make this stick? And opening up to conversation and questions that folk are going to have around what should I do? What would be the right thing for me? So I want it to be a very practical experience for folk, that you're going to get an understanding of where you stand, the risk factors, where you stand right now, and B, what are the changes that you need to make, and C, what would that action plan look like for the next 30 days? Because without, all those points lining up, it's really just a lot of hot air talking. We need to move from a place of awareness and empowerment to a place of action. And that's what I want for folk. Now, prevent memory loss. It's like, you might say, well, hey, I'm okay. I'm just feeling a bit sluggish. It is that cognitive experience, this personal experience of where you are right now, which is I'm not feeling as sharp. I'm feeling more moody or greater agitation in my life. I'm having this sense of brain fog and lack of energy. And if that's you, I encourage you to come along, because this is for you. Those frontline workers that are just burning the midnight candles of trying to facilitate what's going on for their clients in their work, facilitating their life with their families, and trying to put something back in themselves in a nourishing way. It's hard. And no wonder people are experiencing these changes in their cognitive health, their cognitive fitness.
Mm.
If we start laying the foundations now, start tackling this now, then it's going to have a really good payoff tomorrow and in the future.
And I think that's really important about step number one is people understanding and meeting themselves where they're at. Because a lot of people, for whatever reason, whether it's guilt or feeling ashamed, not actually acknowledging where they're at. And I mean, I like to draw the analogy when you get in your car and you're using, your GPS or your maps on your phones, you have to put in both the point of origin and the destination. And if you don't put in the point of origin, then you don't get the right map. And I think, that's really important, I think, for everybody to understand at this stage, is you really have to meet yourself where you're at.
That's right. It's like an emergency exit, Matt. Okay, the house is on fire. What's the best pathway to get out of here? Well, I could go via the kitchen, do this, that, and the other, but no, I'm going to get in trouble if I do that way. I really want people to get clear on what is the best action for them right now, because it can get so overwhelming that there are 20 things to do. I really want this to be really dialed down to help people in a tangible, practical way, that there are a maximum of 3 things you're going to be doing, because having the 20 things to do, that means 20 things don't get done. Really, it's giving people something very specific, very tangible, that's going to have a meaningful impact to the cognitive performance for life, right now, tomorrow, and in the future. And guys, if you're listening to this and thinking, this sounds good, but I've got all these other things in my life, there is only one thing that makes your life work really well, and that's having a beautiful, sparkling brain. And I want that for everyone.
Love it. I think it's so important, and I think it's really important for people to know, especially for those of you who are feeling overwhelmed at the moment, like David's saying, is just having 1 or 2, maybe 3 things that you're working on at any given time. Because, even over the course of these 9 days, you're going to get a lot of really great advice. And don't forget, you'll get the recordings at the end so you can take your time and listen to it. Don't feel overwhelmed by all the information out there. And David's got a really great point. Just take a few things, and really put that action plan in so that you're following through on what you want. And when you start to see the results, would you say, you're encouraged and excited to do more?
Yeah. It's when we, trying to learn and acquire any sort of skill, Tanya, we've got to put in the repetitions, and rather than overcomplicating all the knowledge of what's needed, what are the 1, 2, and 3 things that are going to get you moving, getting you in the right direction, and consolidate on that. Because once you've nailed 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 become the next 3, etc., etc. It's like building a beautiful cake over time. You just put lovely little layers in it.
You all love cake.
We do indeed.
Thank you so much, David. That's incredible information. I can't recommend David's workshop enough. You should all definitely attend. You'll see below there'll be a link to the festival. If you haven't joined up, get access to all 9 days, amazing 70 speakers. And below that, I'll put a contact to David Norris so you can get in contact with him if you'd like some extra help with your brain health, brain fitness. Highly, highly recommended. Thank you, David, so much. And we look forward to seeing you over the course of the festival.
Oh, Tanya, it's my absolute pleasure. I'm so looking forward to working with your team and also the folk that are interested in this. I can't wait. Thank you very much for the invitation.